Hi fellow soulmates, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be learning how to make this dress. It's actually a very simple tutorial, so if this looks like what you're interested in, please continue watching. After watching and then you find my video helpful, please leave a comment, like, share. Thank you so much. If you are stopping by for the first time, I am Lily and this is the face behind this channel. Please click the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. So for fabric, I'm going to be working with doll face. So this is what I'm going to be working with, and then I'm just going to come down by a few inches as usual before we start drafting. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 7, because I'm using 28 inches. Divided by 4 is 7, and then I'm going to add extra 1 inch for my dart intake, just as you can see me do. I'm going to add extra 1 inch. After doing that, I'm going to come down by 9 inches, which is my waist to hip line. Remember, this is not the standard, so you can do whatever works for you. For my full length, I'm going to be making use of 22 inches. Remember, you can actually do whatever you want, so this is actually what I want. I'm okay with 22 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and then create my full length, and then I'm going to divide my arm hip circumference by 4, which is 10, because I'm making use of 40 inches. Then I'm going to mark 8.5 inch on my full length, which is my round hip minus 1.5 inch. So hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and then connect. After doing that, I'm also going to connect to my waistline that I already marked. So this is it, and then I'm going to go in by 4 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. For the length, I'm going to be using 6 inches, just as you can see, and then make sure it's aligning by 4 inches, okay? And then when you're done, just go ahead and then connect. For the dart intake, I'm going to be using 0.6. so I actually replaced 1 inch, but I'm going to be using 0.6. so I just want to reduce the waistline a little. So remember, this is optional. You can choose to ignore this part. So after doing that, I'm just going to connect, okay? So just as you can see me do, go ahead and connect. So after doing that, the next thing we are going to do is to come over to our hip line. We are going to come down by 1 inch, okay? From your hip line, come down by 1 inch, and then to your center front, you are going to be marking 3 inches. Mark 3 inches, not 3.5 inch. 3 inches, okay? So this 3 inches, and then this part is 1 inch. So the next thing we are going to do is to connect. Please guys, watch my ruler placement. It's actually very important. So watch my ruler placement so that you can do the same. And then all you need to do is to connect, just as you can see me do. Connect from your hip line to your full length. So this is it. The next thing we are going to do is to add our allowance. So add your allowance and 1/2 inch on the waistline, and then on the side we are going to add 1 inch. So I'm just going to forward this part. Remember, it's just allowance, so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to fast forward it. This is it for the front. So what we are going to do now is to cut out. So just go ahead and cut out, just as you can see me do. Okay, so after cutting out, we are going to use the front to trace out the back. So just as you can see, we are going to turn the pattern over to another pattern, and then just go ahead, use your pencil or whatever you are working with to trace out the back. So just carefully trace out the back, just as you can see. We don't need to draft the back pattern. We can actually use this as our back pattern. So hope that makes sense. So after doing that, mark out each of the points, both the 1 inches, the 3 inches we went in with on the other side, the 3 inches we went in with here, and then on the waistline also, we are also going to mark out our dart. So hope that makes sense. So after doing that, just take off the pattern, just as you can see me do. Take off the pattern, and then use your ruler to trace out each of the points that we already marked. So make sure you actually place your ruler exactly the way it is on your front pattern. If possible, you can actually take your front pattern to actually check your ruler placement and then use it on the back. We are actually doing this so that both front and back will actually look the same because of the style inspiration that we are working with. So just as you can see me do now, you are going to place your ruler correctly and then go ahead and then connect. So after doing that, what we are going to do is to mark out your hip line. So I already have my hip line. I'm just going to mark it out there. After doing that, I'm going to also go ahead and then connect my dart. So I'm going to come down by 6 inches, align it by 4, which is my nipple to nipple measurement. All I'm going to do now is to just use my ruler and then connect. Okay, so guys, so hope this makes sense. So after doing that, on your waistline, sorry, you are going to go in by 1/2 inch and then connect it back to your hip line. So this is actually to avoid bulging. So I usually do this actually. You can choose to ignore it. And then from that point, I'm going to add my zipper allowance. So I'm using just 1 inch as my zipper allowance. So we don't need to add any other allowance on this pattern. Remember, we already added allowance to the front, so we don't need to add any other allowance apart from our zipper allowance. So hope that makes sense. So this is it for the back. So just go ahead and then cut out, just as you can see me do. Go ahead and then cut out your back piece. So when you're done cutting, now what you're going to do, label this point as the back, so and then label the other side as the front. So I'm going to cut out the excess I have on my zipper part. I'm actually here to cut that out, just as you can see. So after doing that, we are going to slash at this point and then slash at this other side. So just as you can see me do now, go ahead and do the same. Slash this point open and then separate it and then do the same thing to the other side. So we are going to set it aside so that we can actually cut out the upper bodice. So for the upper bodice, as usual, I'm going to also go down by a few inches, and then I'm going to place my tape on 6.5 inch. So I'm going to mark my bust point. So whatever you're doing, just mark your bust point from that 6.5 inch. So that is going to serve as our chest line. So hope that makes sense. I'm just going to create my bust point, just as you can see me do now, and then I'm going to mark my under bust. So I'm just labeling this out, and then the 6.5 inch will be our chest line. So what I'm going to do now is to come down by my under bust. So you can see that my tape is still on that 6.5 inch. So just come down by your under bust. Mine is 13, just as you can see. That is exactly what I'm marking. Make sure your tape is still on that 6.5 inch. So I'm going to create my under bust line and then label it as, just as you can see me doing. The next thing I'm going to do is to come down by my half length or waistline, whatever you call it. So mine is 16 inches, just as you can see me do now. I'm actually marking my 16 inches. So after doing that, I'm going to connect. So I'm going to label this out, just as you can see me do now. I'm going to also go in by 4 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement, divided by 2. So whatever yours is, mark it on your chest line, your bust point, your under bust, and then your half length. Create a straight line. So for the tightening, what we are going to do, to this side we are going to mark 1.5 inch, and then to the center front side we are going to mark 1 inch. So mark 1.5 here and then mark 1 inch here. So we are doing the same thing to our under bust, but we are going to first of all curve this into the bust point and then do the same thing on the other side with our curve ruler, and then repeat the same thing on our under bust, 1.5 inch and then 1 inch to this side. You are also going to curve it into your under bust, as you can see, and then curve it from your bust point to your under bust also. So this is it for this. So the next point is to divide your across chest by 2. Mine is 14 divided by 2. I'm going to mark it here, which is 7 inches, and then I'm going to replace my dart intake, which is 2.5 inch. After doing that, I'm going to come over to my waistline. So remember what we did before, mark 1 inch and then 1.5 inch on the other side. So I'm just bringing everything down to my waistline, and then I'm going to also go in by my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 7, and then replace the dart intake also, which is 2.5 inch. So I'm going to connect it together, just as you can see me do now. And then the next thing is to come down by 1.5 inch, which is my side dart. That is what I usually use, and connect it back to my bust point, just as you can see me do now. So I'm going to also come down by 1.5 inch at this point. So you know it's 2, so I'm going to shape it down there, and then I'm going to, just as you can see me do, use your curve ruler and then blend it like so. So you can choose to ignore this part, you can choose to leave it straight. So I'm going to also go in by 1/2 inch. I'm trying to actually like reduce that point so that it will grip us very well. So it depends, you can choose to also ignore it. So this is it. I'm just going to add my allowance. I'm adding 1 inch. You can use 1.5 inch, so it depends on what you want. Remember, you can always do whatever works for you. And then to the top, I'm also going to add 1/2 inch. So after adding to this side, I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the center front, just as you can see. And then the hemline, I'm going to add the waistline. I'm going to add 1/2 inches, just as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead now and then cut out. So we are going to trace out the back. So for the back pattern, get a fresh pattern paper, and then you are going to place your side front and your center front together. So I'm going to first of all trim off this excess that I won't be needing at the top here. Then I'm going to close my side dart. So do it to do the same. So after closing off your side dart, what you are going to do is to put your center front and your side front together, just as you can see me do. So just make sure each line is aligning. So you can see me trying to make sure that each point is aligning. So all you are going to do next is to trace out, okay? So just carefully trace it out so that we can actually use this as our back piece. So hope this makes sense. So also maintain the width at the side. Okay, so just maintain it the way it is and then mark in between, as you can see me do. And you can actually take one side at the center back and then the other side at the side back. So I'm also noting my under bust, so I'm going to take it off and then I'm going to actually connect, and then I'm going to also connect this like so. We are going to dart the waistline. So just as you can see in this video, I'm actually darting this point, which is supposed to be my under bust. So I ended up darting that point instead of my waistline, which is the hemline. So please correct it, though it turned out well, but it was actually a mistake. Just like I said, it's a mistake. You can see the point where my emoji is pointing, so that's the point we are going to dart, the hemline. And then at this point I'm also going to go in by 1/2 inch, which is still supposed to be on the waistline, which is the hemline, and not this point. So I'm so sorry, it's a mistake. So I realized it when it was already too late. So please do well to correct this. So hope that makes sense. Also ask question on anything you are confused about in the comment section. So what I'm going to do now is to add 1 inch at this point, because that is going to be for my zipper allowance. So just as you can see me do, we are going to do the same. What we are going to do next now is to determine the length of the back. So you are to choose what you want. Actually at this point is your choice. Just make sure the side front is aligning with the side back. That's the most important thing. And then from that point just go down. Okay, you can do whatever you want, just make sure this part is aligning. That's really important thing there. And then this dart intake, I'm going to replace it here because I use 1/2 inch on both sides, which is 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. So like I said before, it's supposed to be on the waistline, so it's actually a mistake. So hope you corrected it. And then we are just going to connect. So this is it for this. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out, just as you can see me do. Go ahead and cut out. So at the top I'm also going to add 1/2 inch because I'm here to actually add 1/2 inch at the top there. So remember to also add 1/2 inch as your seam allowance. And then this is the side back, this is the center back. So I'm labeling up and down so that it will not be confusing for me. So I will just go ahead and then cut this out. I'm still going to maintain that shape there. You can see what I'm doing, trying to make sure that the side front is also aligning. So you just need to make sure of that so that at the end of the day everything will sit well. So hope that makes sense. So just as you can see me do now, I'm going to go ahead and cut out. So guys, so this is it. What we are going to do, we are going to cut out on our fabric. So I'm going to be starting with the down. So I'm actually going to fast forward this because there's actually allowance. So just add 1/2 inch. Remember we already have our allowance on this, so the only point you're adding 1/2 inch is just at the side. So this is it. So I'm going to fast forward this. So just watch how I'm cutting out so that you cut out every piece of the fabric accordingly. So hope that makes sense. Guys, so this is it. So we are left with only this piece, so we are going to also cut this out. So the first thing you are going to be doing is to place your fabric on fold, because we are going to cut for both sides. And then what you're going to do, remember this is where we'll cut this out from. So we are just going to create a line so that it will serve as the midpoint, and then we are also going to create a line at the top. So this line is going to serve as our guideline. So hope that makes sense. So after doing that, you're going to place it on both sides. Okay, so what you're going to do next is to measure. So at this point, it will actually determine what you are going to measure is what you want. Okay, so depend on the fullness you want. For me, I actually use 5 inch. Remember, like I said, you can use more than that depending on what you want. So hope that makes sense. So we are going to also go over to the down, and then we are going to do the same. So for the down, you are also going to decide what you want. You can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to also mark about 7 inches. So remember, we still have 1 inch extra that is serving as allowance. So that is already 8 inches in total. So pin down, just as you can see me do now. So when you pin down, you are going to also add half inches round. Remember, we are going to join it to the other side of the skirt, so just go ahead and then mark your half inch round. When you're done, we are going to connect it down, just as you can see. Connect it down together and then go ahead and then cut out. So just carefully cut out, just as you can see me do. So when you're done, go ahead and notch and then notch the other side, just as you can see. And then we are going to label, so you can choose to ignore it. Actually, it's the same thing. So just label front back so that you know the side as the front and then the side as the back. So this is it for the whole piece. Set the whole piece aside and then bring in the center front. So we are going to go ahead and then part this. So I'm going to be making use of wording. So what I'm going to do now is to just trace out what I have. So you can see it. I'm going to trace out what I have and then leave out a few inches at the top, because you need to leave that out for allowance. So just note your under bust and then remove it, just as you can see me do now. So I'm going to take off a few inches, just like I said, for allowance, and then I'm just going to go ahead and then cut this out. So this is it. I'm not going to actually overlap it. I'm just going to use one. So I'm going to do the same thing. So this is it, as you can see, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my side front. So I'm also going to bring in the side front. For the side front, I'm going to place this on fold so that I can cut two at a go. So first of all, I'm going to trace also like this to my under bust. Okay, so I'm going to note my under bust, just as you can see, and then I'm going to reduce it at the top there by a few inches, and then I'm going to go ahead and then create a line. So watch my curve ruler placement so that you can do the same. Just curve it into your under bust. So this is it. I'm just going to go ahead and then cut this out. When you're done cutting out, just go ahead and then interface it. So I will do just that and then I'll bring the whole piece back. Guys, welcome back. So this is it. Just as you can see, I already cut out my lining. So just as you can see, I already interface it. So I also interface my fabric with ST, so you can as well choose to interface yours with whatever you have available. So this is it. So what we are going to do now is to join the side front to the center front, just as you can see me do. So you are going to pin it from down to the top, and then we are going to do the same thing for the other side. So after doing that, all you need to do is to join by half inch. Okay, so join by half inch, and then we are going to do the same thing with the lining. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring the whole piece back. So guys, welcome back. So this is it. So I'm done joining, so I'm going to set it aside and then bring in the back. So what we are going to do, bring in the side back and then also bring in the center back. So note the side that has your zipper, and then all you are going to do is to join by half inch. So just go ahead and pin down, then do the same thing to this side. So what we are going to do, we are going to repeat the same thing on the lining. Okay, so your center back to your side back, pin down. When you're done pinning, just as you can see me do, we are going to go ahead and then join by half inch. So I will do just that and then I'll bring it back. Guys, welcome back. So this is it. I'm done joining, just as you can see, and then I iron now. This is the main piece and the lining. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to place it at the side. So just as you can see, so long is aligning at the side, the excess, I want to actually reduce the back because I want it to be a little bit deeper. So I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So long as the other side is aligning, just trim off a little. You can choose to ignore this part. It's just what I want. So I feel it's a little bit too high, so I'm going to use this piece to actually trim the rest. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm using it since I already trimmed that piece. I'm going to use it to correct the rest. So do the same thing with all, including your lining and the main piece. So when you're done trimming it down, you are going to bring in your center front piece. So we are going to be joining it with the lining, just as you can see me do now. So you are going to pin down. After pinning down, what we are going to do is to join. So you are going to join by half inch, and then by the side join by 0.1. Please don't join it too much so that you won't end up reducing your allowance too much. So we are doing the same thing with the back. Also join at the top by half inch, and then by the side by just 0.1. so that you won't reduce your allowance too much, like I said before. So I will do that and bring it back. Come back, guys. So just like I instructed us, I already joined, as you can see, and then I iron out. So we are going to bring in the down piece. What I'm going to do now is to actually pin down so that we can actually join by half inch. Okay, so hope that makes sense. So just go ahead and then pin it together. Make sure that your dart is actually aligning both the upper piece and the down piece. So guys, this is it. So I'm going to set it aside, and then I will do the same thing on the back piece. So the back piece, also go ahead and then join by half inch. So I already sewed off my dart, so I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring it back. Come back, guys. So this is it. So I am done joining, just as you can see. So we are going to join it by the side now. So all you need to do is to join it at the side by 1 inch. Okay, so join it by whatever allowance you added, and then also go ahead and fix your zipper when you're done. So I'll do just that and bring it back. Come back. So as you can see, I am done joining, and then I already fixed my zipper, just as you can see. So what we are going to do now, we are going to bring in the other piece. So remember, we still have this piece to actually join. So if you want this to actually be big, like you want it to stand, you can actually interface it with paper stay or whatever you want. It's your choice. So I'm going to remove the paper, so you can actually use any side. It's the same thing. So what we are going to do now, we are going to run gathers. Okay, you can run gathers, you can choose to pleat. So remember, the point will not. Remember, in our original pattern we also have 1 inch, and then we are not going to be joining, so plus the 5 inches will mark on both sides. So in total now we are going to be marking 12 inches. So we are going to be pleating with 12 inches. So hope that makes sense. So just as you can see me do it to mark. So after marking, all you need to do now is to pleat. You can choose to pleat or run gathers. So you are going to run it around that hip line. Okay, it's just going to be around your hip line, maybe 2 inches to the front and then 2 inches to the back. So I will do that and bring it back. So guys, so this is it, just as you can see. So I already joined, just as you can see. So you are going to pleat about 2 inches away from the center to the front and then to the back. So this is the inside, just join by ½ inch. So I'm going to set it aside now. So what we are going to be doing now is optional. So go ahead and then mark out something like the shape of a heart, just as you can see me do now, and then you are going to leave at least 1 inch at the top. Then go ahead and add your allowance. So I'm going to cut this out and then interface it, and then I'm going to bring it back. So this is it. After cutting out, I went ahead to interface it. We are going to be joining by ½ inch, but before doing that, we are going to sew ridging boning on the lining parts. Okay, so just sew it on the lining part, and then we are going to leave out a few inches from the top, sew it on the lining part, and then do the same here. I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring it back. So I already turned this side of it, just as you can see. So you can see the line I used in stitching my ridging bone on it. So I'm going to set it aside. So this, I'm going to show us how to actually turn with this. So first thing first you're going to do is to push in. So as you push in, do it to bend your ridging bone. Okay, remember it's plastic, so you can actually bend it. So all you need to do is to push it out from that point. When you're done, go ahead and then iron out. So I will do just that, and then I'll bring it back. So I iron out, and then I join both pieces together, and then I actually use a strap to cover it up at the middle. I'm going to fit it on myself so that I will know the best place to actually attach it. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring it back. So I will tack it at the middle and then tack it on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring it back. So I have to do it on myself. Guys, this is it. So I am done attaching, just as you can see. So you can choose to add a strap if you wish to. So it's optional. So this is it for this video, and you can as well choose to design it, especially at that point where we tack, to actually cover up your thread that you used to tack. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.